Welcome to Forever Exiled. I'm Justin, aka Tags.
And I'm Tyler, aka Wrecker of Days.
Episode 264 of this here podcast we've been doing. Big shout out to our Patrons. Thanks everybody who resubbed up this week. And thank you to Flip for joining the Patreon. Thank you very much.
Now, including your mother, we have two patrons.
Two patrons, yeah. Thanks everybody who subscribes, and Patreon gets access to After Dark. It's our podcast after the podcast, where we talk about stuff and things, and now we have a slight theme to After Dark for a little bit because we're watching Dark. Oh, it goes with After Dark. Did you do that on purpose?
It was a happy coincidence, but it made me smile when I decided that that's what I wanted to recommend to you to see if it interested you.
Yeah, we're watching it together. We're watching Dark together. Not together, but we're watching 2 episodes a week and then putting our brains together to discuss. And my challenge is going to be just only to watch 2 episodes a week because, man, that show ends where you're like, what?
So, yeah, and we're not going to talk about it now. And it's only going to be like 5 or 10 minutes. It's not going to be the entire After Dark episode. Yeah, but see, Justin watches things with his brain turned off, and I'm extremely picky with my show, so we're not going to agree on anything except for nudity. So hopefully there's lots. Otherwise, we have nothing to talk about. But it's going to be a lot of fun. And Justin, if we get a patron every 132 episodes, we're going to be set.
We're set. We're up to 2.
But
no, it's really to everybody who supports the podcast. Thank you so much. It's appreciated. And what do we got? Trick or treat. Yeah, that's right. Halloween's coming up.
Justin's in a total Ron Burgundy mood today.
I just read it.
Yeah. Well, trick or treat safely. No, just, Halloween's coming up. So to all you people that do thingies for October 31st or whatever else you do in your culture for it, be safe. Don't be one of those morons that lights dangerous things around kids or just around anything in general, like dry. Keep your hands. Don't light dry grass on fire. Don't kill somebody else just because you're cool. No, have a good time. I hope your kids stay safe. I hope they have a fantastic time dressing up. Don't forget to have lots of energy and be super excited for your young ones. There's nothing worse than being super excited about Halloween and then it's too cold, so they have to wear a jacket over top of their costume anyway, and then their parents are like bored. No, we're going home. No, we're going home. No, you can't have your candy tonight. No, you can't. Make it special. Have fun.
Have you been in my house? How was your week, buddy?
Fun. Oh man, I had a good week.
Did you?
I spoke with this might be old news, so my apologies, and I'll make it quick because we're old, so like half of our getting old, half of our getting together is our getting old news. But spoke with my pain management doctor, and we decided to stop the duloxetine, and I'm trying another drug right now. Okay. And honestly, yesterday and today are the first times in maybe 2 months where I have had energy to like fluctuate my voice.
Is that on the drug? You're on a new one?
Yeah, but I mean, I'm only doing 1 pill for a day now for the first week, then 2, then 3, and then it'll end up being at 4. So I'm off the 1, and I'm just barely starting the new one. But like that last drug must have hit me hard because
well, you said it
picked me up with the kids. It did, but there's so much when you deal with concussion stuff. There's so many factors that go into it.
Sure, you don't know what it is.
And, like, I'm not allowed raisins because they're so high on the GI, on the glycemic index, and I'd forgotten about it for a while. And I had like half a kilo of raisins in a couple of weeks, so that could destroy me. Sure. You know what I mean? But then there was nothing else in the house for me to have a quick snack on. So even after she told me, I'm like, screw it, I'm hungry. And so I'd like have a handful of raisins. So that kind of stuff can screw things up. So anyway, this, that, and another thing. Yesterday and today are the first times where I've had energy to talk with my hands. Like, it wasn't exhausting. I only had 1 nap instead of napping for the entire day. I did the dishwasher and then folded the laundry, which I know that stuff sounds really stupid, but to me, that's like,
that's good.
I went for a run, and I've been trying to run, and I finally hit my goal. Like, that's what doing those things with what I deal with was like. So it's been
I hope it helps.
Me too. I really hope this stuff, fatigue is a problem with it, but it's not permanent. They encourage you to take it at bedtime because then the fatigue will have worn off by the time you wake up anyway. So I'm really hoping that's the case. And but there was a moment between getting off the old stuff and going onto the new stuff where I was reminded about how much pain was actually being blocked. And I was like, oh, right. Oh, wow. You know, like I've been dealing with these pains for forever and ever, but you know, it's kind of, I don't know, the brain's funny like that. You just get used to it so quick and you forget. And I mean, we live in a world, our culture and where we live, like it's just so easy to immediately take something for granted. You know what I mean? Sure. And we definitely do. I mean, blessed to be born where we are, but you know, that kind of attitude and becoming complacent very quickly is something that people in our area are very susceptible to on a regular basis and don't realize it often. So I definitely was reminded to be thankful this past week. So it was nice. Cool. It was good. How about you? How was your week?
It was good. It was really busy. I took my son. So it's his birthday. So he's got a bunch of people coming over. They're having a sleepover party up in the playroom. We got like a bunch of TVs and monitors, so they all have their different consoles so they can play together in the room.
Oh, no way.
So all I got
modern day LAN party.
Yeah, that's essentially it. Just with I think there's like, we've got 2 TVs and a couple monitors set up, and he's been working on it all week to have it all ready to go. It was funny. I said to him, because I don't know what game they're playing. I did Modern Warfare or Call of, I don't know, Fortnite. I honestly don't. No. It's just some game they wanted to all play together. And I was like, but are your friends bringing consoles? And he's like, no, we have them. And I'm like, what? He's like, yeah, I've got the Xbox S and the Xbox this and the PlayStation this and the PlayStation that. He's got it all set up, so he's ready to go.
Good. Okay. Yeah. It's not like there was an expectation to, I don't even know if you can rent them anymore.
He told me about some Switch game that they really wanted to play. This is a Nintendo Switch sports game that they really all like. So I bought him the sports Nintendo game, and then he's now trying to set up multiple TVs. I'm like, you better play that freaking game because I paid for it. So
right,
I expect you to play it.
Forced activities on the birthday.
Yeah, but I took him to go see my my barber, the guy who cuts my hair. I took him to this guy. I tried him once there before, and he really liked it. He's used to, you know, his mom taking him to like, you know, the quick haircut places, you know, the old ladies cutting your hair, and
they're the best. They're the best. They tell you the way it is, short and sweet. Well,
it's funny,
if you're lucky, it's short.
When I took him to my guy the first time, I was laughing at Christina because it was a very different experience for him, because he's in a barber shop. Bunch of the guys who cut hair are probably all in their like mid to late 20s, and they're all friends, and they're just like yapping back and forth, and with the people who are getting their hair cut, and they're swearing from time to time, and it is what it is. But I could see Logan was just like loving it. Like he just loved that he was
like intimidated, but felt like grown up at the same time.
Yeah, exactly. And I said to him, I'm like, these guys are closer to your age than they are to my age. Like these guys know hair. Like it's going to cost me a little bit more, but if you like it, like I'll take you every like 1.5 months or whatever his hair needs. Anyway, I took him to him again this time, and Logan finally had an idea what he wanted for his hair. His hair looks awesome because he's got like great hair. Like he's got that,
man.
Yeah, he's got that like Spanish curl dark hair, and he turned it in. He's growing it now down the back, so it's like not quite mulletish, but like short on the sides. But it like sort of, oh man, he like looks good,
like a long faux hawk.
Yeah, and he's doing it like he's actually taking care of it, so his hair looks like really good right now. So
dang, you're gonna have to be careful. A guy that takes care of himself. Yeah,
he's a stud.
Have you seen Inside Out?
Yep.
Okay, so you remember actually, I think it was a short in between Inside Out 1 and 2, but it's about Riley's first date.
Okay.
And it's done from the perspective of the parents' brains. And so a guy rings the door. Okay, yeah. So the guy rings the doorbell, or somebody rings the doorbell. The dad answers it. And right away, there's this teenage boy, or like 12-year-old boy for a kid that's his daughter's same age. And inside the brain, the panel of emotions is an alarm's going off like boy, like awesome. This big red alert, right? So, but anyway, that's your son now. He's going to go knocking on someone's door, and parents are going to freak out because he's hot and he cares about himself.
Yeah, exactly. Now that he's taking care of his hair, it's like, oh boy, you put on pit stick, kid, and you're set.
Am I allowed to call your son hot?
He's a stud, man.
No, I know, but like, are you going to get me arrested if we get into a fight and like 10 years later, going to be like episode 264
Go back to
or whatever? He called my son hot, little perv. I put on pit stick today.
Okay, for you.
Antiperspirant. Yeah.
Well, you know, it helps for 42 some people. Years. Some people need it, and 14-year-old boys need it. They freaking need it.
Oh goodness, man!
God, pit stick and change your socks. That's it. Like if you can keep up on those two things.
For my son, it's the hoodie. He loves his like pink stuff isn't made for guys for some reason yet. Like we do a lot of our shopping in the girls section and try and find something that doesn't look crazy frilly. He loves his pink hoodie. Absolutely loves his pink hoodie. But it's all the time. Like I tell he has his rules, but I don't follow up with everything all the time. And so now he's got like his pink Oshkosh faded hoodie that we got from a secondhand store somewhere. And he does his newspaper route, right?
Yeah.
So now it's all like black and gray. And it's like, it's not pink, but it's, you know, it's got the newspaper grub all over it. Send him to school on Friday. And I realize as I'm dropping him off, I'm like, you're supposed to be on the water all day, nonstop. Like that thing's going to have like Oshkosh falling off. He's going to have chest hair by the time he washes it. Anyway, he does wash it. That's fun. Anyway, congrats to Logan. That's super exciting.
He really liked it. Yeah. He liked finally figuring out what he wants to do with his style. And he really likes going to this place. It costs a little bit more money than going to like where Christina would take him, but I'm only going to take him every 6 or 7 weeks because he doesn't need it that often. And for him, it's fun. It's like a fun thing for him and I to go. So it was cool. And then this whole week I was running training sessions, which was brutal because it was so much driving and all day long. Christina came with me to one of them, which was fun. So her and I hung out for the day, which was cool.
That's nice.
But it was just busy.
Are they training sessions so that in the future you'll have more time to yourself?
They are training. No.
They're the wrong kind of training sessions.
I mean, they're training sessions that maybe I would free myself up a little bit, but in the end, I know what I'm training and no. It's
right. Basically, you're trying to train your employees to not be idiots so you have more free time on your hand, but you're not hiring somebody to help work with you.
No. But it was fun. It was awesome. It was a lot of driving to in between some of our offices, and then it's just been work and busy.
Sure, man.
I did watch the 2 episodes of Dark, and we got back into Schitt's Creek just because we were looking for something mindless, and we wanted to rewatch it, so we started rewatching Schitt's Creek, and that's it. That's my week. That's going to be a very Schitt's Creek GIF happy Discord for a while. It always is. I love Schitt's Creek is so good. It's such a good show. There's a GIF for everything from Schitt's Creek and SpongeBob. Yep. For some reason, those shows have something for everything. Yeah, it's true. Cool. Well, good for you. Yeah, good week in general. Awesome. I'm happy to hear it. Mm-hmm. Lawns are getting we're at the end of October, and where we live, way up on we're 47th parallel or something like that. It's that awkward stage where it's raining lots and the grass is still growing, even though there's not much sun, but it's way too wet to do anything with. You know what I mean? It's like that stage where like almost all the lawns in our area are too long to let snow rest on them. So we all have major jobs to do in the springtime because you can't at some point. Right. But how? It's just soaking wet all the time. We had another massive rainfall though. Oh, sorry. I want to bring that up. So you say your thing first. We had rainfall. We had oh, yes, we did. Yes, holy we balls. Did. And it was, I mean, we've had lots of atmospheric rivers. Of course, for long-term listeners, my house flooded when as of that time, that's when atmospheric rivers became like a bad word. I didn't even know that it was a thing until then. And now every time you hear it, you're like, oh God. Right. But we had one where I don't know what happened to these cities when we flooded. Like we had the whole plains, the highway, like the Pacific Rim was shut down because of the highways that were literally flooded. Yeah, and rivers overflowed. The Nooksack overflowed with the Fraser, and then they just combined to have a nice little makeout session, and it screwed over so much. So I don't know what happened with these other cities then, because that didn't happen to us this time, thank goodness. Yeah. But you have places like Burnaby was Burnaby, North Van. The whole city's on on the mountainside, and it's just flooding 3 feet deep on the streets. So anyway, not getting into the municipalities of it, but
I really hope that anybody in our local area is okay, doing well. I mean, there's stuff going on all over the world, but we really hope that you're okay if you were hit and you're in a really stressful situation.
It sucks to be in.
It does. But you're also more than welcome to actually come on our Discord and message me and talk. Like my wife, not trying to trivialize it or make it sound like everything, but my wife and I went through something very stressful and similar that lasted for a long time, and it does end. There's like you don't worry. Like better, you have big decisions to make, but it is just a season, and everything. Unless you lost someone, you have everything you need. So good luck to everybody that had to go through all of that in our area and other areas of the world.
I was going to say,
go ahead.
Around my house, the massive tree stumps that we have. Like we have huge tree stumps along the side of the house where there used to be big trees. Logan,
I was giving Justin a thumbs up. I was sipping my coffee, but yes, Justin, I know.
He all of a sudden decided he wanted to get rid of them. So he has spent Logan. He has spent hours outside with a shovel and an axe, just like tearing. These things are massive, man.
Yeah, I guess he doesn't know how big these root and like
he's done it.
Stubborn these root systems are.
Stumps that he's pulled out are like half his size. And he's ripped them right out of the ground.
Wow.
He's so proud of himself.
Good for him.
Yeah, it is. I don't know
why.
The reason? I couldn't even tell you. He just all of a sudden got it into his head.
It's the hair. He got like nice hair. Strength. Now it's like, it's all about, well, it's just like he sees the perfection of just how it looks. And then all of a sudden he comes home and he sees his house's hair.
Stump. He's like,
isn't just,
gotta go.
It's gotta look sexy too.
He puts on the gloves. He pulls, I think he likes just playing with the hatchet. Like he just goes to town, and I was like, just please don't chop off something. Like wear the gloves, be careful with it. But if I hear you scream, I'm going to take a minute before I come and get you because it's your fault. You need to be careful.
That's right. That's right.
Anyway,
watch. There's probably like a guy or girl at school that broke his heart, and that's like he's just like hacking them to death right now. That's right. Cool.
Yep.
So something funny happened in New Zealand. Well, I don't know if it's funny, but for some reason it crossed my news feed. And then we'll get into PoE. I don't know how to say the word, but Dunedin, huh? Are you a Dunedin, Justin? Airport in New Zealand has a sign or signs up that says you are limited to 3-minute hugs in the drop-off zone. For fonder farewells, please use the car park.
Are they ticketing? What are they doing?
I don't know. But like, I get it. Like a sign that says like, hey, it is actually a drop off zone.
How do you pick 3 minutes? Where do you come up with 3 minutes though? Like, I'm curious,
that's a good question. I didn't think of that.
Where were they right. This is the time that works. I think funny. It would be funny if somebody was standing there with a little click.
The ticket
stopwatch.
That's right. Well, instead of the parking, that's right.
I thought when I read that they were imposing like free hugs as you come through the airport. Like, hey, if you just not feeling good, here's a free hug. But nope, they're limiting hugs. So yeah. Anything in PoE this week?
No, there wasn't. This is a copy and paste from last week, so I must have screwed up. And but anyway, absolutely nothing. There hasn't been a post all week in the announcement section, so that's rad. So we get to go straight to it. Yeah, this is wicked, man. I love it. No nonsense posts, no fluff. Yeah. Oh, actually, there was one thing. It wasn't in their announcement page, but I think they tweeted it because they're like the communications department, whether they realized it or they've been pestering EGGG to do something, and it just hasn't happened. The community team themselves posted some teaser pictures of Path of Exile 2, and they're like
screenshots of PoE 2.
Well, camera pictures, but the most of it's like the back of a monitor, and then you see like an eighth of the picture is just a portion of what somebody's working on their monitor. You know what I mean? So it's like mostly backs and like, yeah. So it's, you don't see anything, but right. Yeah. And then so you see one model of a monster or whatever, or a boss that has a long neck. And so people are in the community are joking around about Templar 2.0, right? Because it's got a giraffe neck. Yeah. But it was really fun. So big shout out to the community team for that, because that was really, really funny. Yeah. And personal shout out to Nick. Thank you so much for all your hard work recently. You've been absolutely fantastic. If you listen to this, so thank you very much. We really appreciate your commitment. You're fantastic. Now, Justin and I have a little list to go through, and we are going to fly through this.
Yeah,
we're going through this list. We may not
get through all of them. I was thinking today, because unfortunately Justin got tied up and has some scheduling issues today, so we might not get through them all, but Ty's got a great list. We did some in After Dark. It was fun. I really enjoyed going through these.
And it was half or whatever of our episode last week as well. So anyway, these are the remnants. There's still like 30 points left, but I have this under a tab called Poe2 Extras, and it was when Jonathan was active on. Awesome. Jonathan was active on the Poe2 Reddit back in December 2023. He was very active for like November, December, but especially December, because most of my like, oh wow, Jonathan said this, or Jonathan said that, and that was of course really exciting at the time. That was instead of Poe2 announcements. It was just he and his team were, they wanted to know what we thought, what our concerns were. They were like the most open book on the planet, the most down to earth answers and responses. It wasn't just, hey, here's a question, give me your responses. There were replies from,
what was his name? Frags or something?
Negative Frags.
Negative Frags. Okay.
And, so anyway, so these were the copy and paste from when we were excited about it. But then just as podcasts and conversations go, they just, now it's, wow, it's October. I was going to say half a year later. It's almost a year later, right? And in November 15th is the still scheduled, hopefully not postponed.
They haven't announced their end of the month thing yet.
So today for us, it's October 25th.
Yeah.
Next week will be the 2-week mark. It'll be November 1st when we record. That Friday is the 2-week mark from when the beta is.
But they haven't announced this like pre-show they're going to do yet. So
the reason Justin and I are going through these Poe2 extra notes that I amalgamated a year ago are because we're expecting. There's nobody's telling us this.
I'm surprised there's nothing out yet.
Right. We're expecting next week, which is the 2-week mark before the beta, that GGG will have some sort of announcement or at least teasers and stuff. Like, we're expecting this to be the last time we have basically
they've said there's one coming.
Right. But they didn't give us a timeline, whether it was 2 weeks or a week before. So we're assuming or hoping
end of a month later. And that was at the end of September. So we're expecting something to be towards the end of October.
You know what's going to happen? It'll be today, but it'll be like half an hour after we finish recording. So if that happens, maybe we'll save
we're used to it.
The After Dark. Yeah. And we'll probably just save it for the next episode instead of After Dark, because tonight we got to talk about Dark. And we'll probably finish up this list too. So without further ado,
let's do it.
Back in the day, what day was this? December 21st, 2023. Negative Frags. Jonathan says, yes, you can. This is in reference to reviving party members. It takes some time and it will be interrupted if you take damage. The intention is that you can revive your party members when a boss fight is done. You might be able to get away with it during a boss fight if you are fast or careful and or depending on the boss. And Justin and I can confirm that. Whether it's released or not, we don't know, but we definitely experienced that in the playtest we went to in the summertime in LA. And we definitely experienced it close to the end of the gaming session because my brain was done and Justin was he was reviving me.
Professional reviver.
He is, yes. Yeah. So awesome.
But that's it though. I think we talked about it a little bit in After Dark, something similar to that, which was just how they find ways. Did you hear that?
Was that you? Did that come through your speakers? Who is it?
You wouldn't hear my speaker because you can't, but it sounded like there's like a Halloween thing. Do you see the GIF? All right, Dr. Anus, you did get me.
Oh, that's hilarious that Dr. Anus does a big dick GIF. Anyway,
okay,
awesome.
Well, you got us.
That's hilarious. We'll reply in a sec here. We're on a tight schedule right now. That's hilarious.
The conversation was just that how they find a way to balance it so that you don't feel like that it's cheesing it, and that's the best way to kill the boss. But yeah,
right. Yeah, they want it to actually still be a boss fight, but you can revive your party members, which is awesome. So cool. I'd be curious to see with this if there's still going to be an XP penalty, and if that XP penalty applies when you die and need to be revived, or only if you like die without being revived.
Yeah, no, that's true. That's a good point.
Well, because there's also the thing like, okay, well now
it should
if you die pre-revival, in my opinion, because you don't want there to be a benefit to co-op.
No, if you're dead, once you're dead, that's 10%. And if you revive and you die again, that's 10%. That's
the way I think it should be as well. Otherwise, you're at a much greater XP risk playing solo than you are with the party. Okay, cool. This tag is called PoE2 following a pre-built tree in game. Jonathan says, we have implemented it. Didn't we do these? This sounds familiar.
Did you remove AD ones?
We'll do it quick. Yeah. The UX of the implementation was a bit lame, but at some point we will make this better and have it in the game. So that sounds definitive. Of course, they can change their mind, do whatever they want, or it could be 10 years away. But that was cool. Having a pre-built tree in game that you can follow.
We did talk about this because I remember saying how WoW implemented this import a string type thing. And I do think that's cool. I like it, actually. I really do like it.
Oh, definitely. Definitely. Especially if they have their own tree maker that you could make, like on their website. The current one on the Path of Exile 1 website is absolute garbage.
I think the one difficulty you will run into, though, is let's say you've got your tree built and then you're trying to optimize it off of a build. How would you add that tree to know where to follow now if it's already pre-built? But I do think they should have something, even if anything, to help a new player understand a proper direction or a good idea of a direction to go in a tree. I think that's a good thing. But we talked about this in After Dark. I thought they did a great job of the tree and understanding as you were playing where you were going. It felt
at the playtest for the PoE2 tree. Yeah, 100%. 100%. Jonathan and I agree, even though we didn't talk about it, on what corrupted actually means. The question was in reference to tainted currency, and Jonathan's thinking it's likely not going to be in the game because he likes the concept of that big risk, big reward of permanent, unmodifiable change. Corrupted is corrupted. It cannot be changed thereafter. Of course, without tainted currency, you would still be able to change some corrupted stuff with the crafting bench in PoE1. Don't know if that's going to be in there, but I like the concept of you could get an amazing item, but you're probably going to brick it and you're never going to be able to change it again.
The risk versus reward is always a fun part of a game.
Right.
I like that.
And even pre-tainted currency in PoE1, that even post-tainted currency in PoE1, that's a very fun thing to deal with in Path of Exile 1, but we don't even know what the drop rates are going to be for base types and currency and how much more of a risk that's going to be in Path of Exile 1.
Well, I was saying to you, thinking After Dark, that it's going to be a weird thing for them to try and balance because corruption affected so much in PoE1 that will it still affect it in PoE2? Because a corrupted chest now, it's the links aren't connected to the chest. The sockets aren't connected to the chest, so there's maybe less risk to corrupting something in PoE2.
Yeah,
you're not listening.
No, I am.
See you.
No, I heard it was half listening. I was Justin listening, but I was looking at where our marker was. I forgot that we added a marker for where we finished.
You did add a marker. That's right.
I did. Yeah. Look how far down that is.
I'm not looking at it. I told you I'm not going to.
We're going to fly through this. We're going to fly through these
just because I want to
apologize to After Dark people. PoE2 beta will go until launch. That's what they said.
If we did them in After Dark, let's skip them.
Okay. And then we talked about guilds getting a look post-launch, div cards, flasks and WASB, strong boxes, maps are still the main endgame focus, and returning classes demos. Did we talk about that? We will probably make a video of some of these sentencing classes before beta, but that was December. Okay. Yeah. Well, all right. Awesome. Covered all those. Now, next point, PoE2 crafting.
Okay.
Jonathan says there will certainly be crafting in Path of Exile 2, and for the crafting bench specifically, we are not actually removing it, just changing how it works to deal with some of the problems that it has that we have not yet announced. This is, of course, in December. In fact, I have a specific goal that people do more crafting than they currently do. In PoE1, non-bench crafting is not something normal players often do. The design changes we have already mentioned to do some of the currency items will go a long way to addressing this. Cool. Again, that was December. They've changed 100 things. I'm not going to say that every time. Just remember, these points are all in December. It's now a year later. We understand that 1,000 things could have changed, but that's exciting. I like that. I like the idea of this is my item. Let's see what I can... Oh, I didn't get it. Or maybe just that filler thing. I really like how the crafting bench currently works. where you can add something like chaos resist or movement speed, but it's definitely nowhere near what could drop. But that's your max. Your max crafting bench option is mediocre.
Yeah, like that. I do agree. I got to close this door. You can hear people just got home, so might get loud.
Yep, I hear you. I am sweating like mad. I don't know how hard it is in this off. Yeah, I have like a V on my back, man. All right. PoE2 hideouts. Jonathan says, we will have hideouts. I'm personally a fan of the current system. All of your hideout MTXs will carry over. I don't like big, sprawling towns. I hate getting lost, and they never seem to serve much purpose to me. I think the hideout editor could certainly use some UI improvements, though.
Yeah. I mean, so for my opinion is keep the hideouts. I love hideouts. I don't care if they're big. I don't care if they're small. I love giving people the option to use it and do it however you want. The UI 100% needs to be improved, but as long as they allow me to import
better creators hideouts. Yes, that's right. Yeah. Yep. That'd be cool to be able to do on console too.
Hideouts are what's yours, like, and I like that in PoE. I like the fact that you are creating something that is your place to, and the fact is that's where you will spend 80% of your gaming time, in your hideout. Like, that's where you're prepping, that's where you're crafting, that's where you're setting up your maps. Like, that's
for the current setup. Yeah.
So I like that.
Yeah, and it's interesting. And then you go to someone else's hideout, and then you see like a Playboy bunny on the ground. You're like, oh, I never knew that about you. Or it's like
the things people can make with them. Sometimes when you all of a sudden spawn into a butthole, you're like, what?
Yeah, that's right. Or, when they trap you at the waypoint and you can't move unless you have a movement skill. Some people, like, they go pirate, they go like it's all over the place. Yeah, it is really cool to see where somebody's mind has gone, or just what they've liked that somebody else has made, right? Wishing that they could do the same thing. So hopefully that it gets improved a lot. This post is called PoE 1 impacting PoE 2. Jonathan says, whatever the question was, it's a tricky question and we haven't answered it yet ourselves. We already have enough trouble keeping up with the microtransaction schedule that we have now, let alone doubling it. And since then, they have basically bailed on their microtransaction schedule. There was even a league where they didn't even have a mystery box. So the most likely outcome right now is that we have supporter packs that'll come out alongside the PoE 2 leagues, and they can just stay current for the PoE 1 leagues as well, but we'll have to see what we can do. So I guess that made more sense to me at the time, but I should have included the question for that one.
Well, that makes sense, though. I mean, the fact is they have to focus on PoE 2. They have to build the transactions, their MTX plan around PoE 2, and then just, if you can, make it work for PoE 1. And that makes sense to me. I mean, the fact is PoE 2 is going to be their focus, even if they are maintaining both. Their schedule is going to be based around the PoE 2. Their MTX should as well. That's where they're going to make their money.
Word. How much time do you have?
20.
This post is, I titled it PoE 2 Totems, yes, brands, maybe. Jonathan's response to whatever was totems for sure. It's PoE DNA for sure. Being able to make an army of them to fight for you, of course. It's a playstyle that some people love. Spirit will allow this to be balanced. So that's interesting.
Yeah, that is interesting.
Because that makes it sound like it's like more like mines than it is. But anyway, it doesn't matter because we didn't get to play any totems when we were there. And they were trying to get away from like the totem mashing thing from Melee. So who knows how that's going to work. But the final point in this is brands, maybe brands are still under discussion.
I did get to play with the totem because I did have a totem as the barbarian dude, which was awesome. I freaking loved it.
Support totem.
Yeah. But it still was there. I agree, though. It being in the DNA of PoE is 100% true. You have to have totems. Brands, I don't care. I never liked brands, never got into brands. I know people use them all the time, but I always found them more utility than anything else. And maybe that's what they were supposed to be. But the totems have to be there. Totems is such a fun play style to the game.
Mm-hmm.
Can you imagine a totem ascendancy? Like just...
like something called
awesome.
Imagine if they called it like the Hierophant or something.
No, gross. I don't even know what that word is.
Right. But really cool idea, Just.
I know, but I'm saying all totems. Only totems. I'm trying to think, like, could you carry them on your back?
The number one thing that everyone's going to try and do is do totems without that ascendancy.
you can't.
Next card, Jonathan says, so something you can do in PoE2 is pause the game if you're playing by yourself. And since then, they've also tried to attempt to make the game pausable in co-op as well. I think it was if everybody paused the game, it was pausable.
Oh,
I think that was something, but you could still play if somebody else was paused, because you and I did a lot of dragging, right? I would pause the game, or I'd be doing skills and you tried to drag me around.
If you could pause it. No, you could. It closed the whole screen. If you hit start, it opened the whole, I think.
Well, no, I was actually just the other day when I was going through some of my storage stuff, I saw some of our gameplay from LA. And when we were both doing our skills, granted, we were in town when we were doing this, but the game didn't pause in the background.
No, I know, but skills. We never hit the start button or whatever it is to bring up.
Maybe it's a specific button instead of just any menu. Oh, okay. So to continue what he was saying, if you're playing by yourself, and the current highlighted monster will remain highlighted so you can read the mods. Interesting. You can also mouse over the debuffs on yourself and enemies to look at what they can do while paused. I have to think about your suggestion, whatever it was. I don't think I quite like it as described, but I get the issue, and I'll ask our UX guy to think of an improvement. And hopefully whatever improvement they come up with also works. Anytime I hear a mouse and keyboard company say highlight, I'm like, yeah, but controller support.
My feeling is with regards to buffs and debuffs, yeah, that'd be great if I could mouse over them to see what they are, especially if on PC I can use both at the same time if I want to play with controller. But more than that, have some place where I can open up a menu to find that picture and understand what that debuff is. Because they were really good in game about mousing over the stats and the information and us getting more info. But a debuff is not the same thing. So if the picture looks like 3 skulls and a sword above it, give me somewhere where I can look up what does that mean and what is it doing?
Jonathan says, I'm keen to try and get most of the PoE1 content in there. Some things will go in a way that is quite different from how they currently are in PoE1. I have a pretty good idea about which leagues we will be adding. Not going to make that list now, though. There will be new endgame content on launch, possibly not in the beta. We'll have to see how much time we get.
Makes sense. And I would hope that most of what we see in PoE2 is new. With some, I want to see some things where I'm like, oh, that's cool. I remember that sort of, from some version of it, but I want new. I mean, I get that he loves, what is it, Delve and Alva. But if you are going to bring them in, can it be different? Like, don't do just exactly what they were. Make it different.
And he said that. So hopefully that's still the case. And things like with Alva, the reason that I hate it is because it's timed. Like having to kill a certain amount of monsters a certain amount of time. You pick up an item and then you have to rush somewhere. Hopefully that's not what Path of Exile 2 is, because the second they add one of those things into the core game, not necessarily
speed becomes such a big part of it.
You're getting into the same trap you put yourself in Path of Exile 1. You cannot have timed content if you want the full theory crafting experience available for players. You just can't. You can't.
Next.
So most people know that Chaos Orbs are different now. Jonathan says the currency in Path of Exile 2 has removed all the reasons that you need to click over and over again many times. The way sockets work now doesn't need it. Chaos Orbs won't need it. And we have completely removed alterations.
Cool. I mean, we got, I don't think we saw chaos. We definitely saw transmutes. But the fact is, when you have something like a transmute or even a chaos for that matter, when it comes to crafting, it's not a spammable thing. If I'm using a chaos, I'm using it because I need to see what the modifiers are on there. So, yeah, I like it.
Agreed. I'm moving your actual camera image over to the side. So if I'm looking at you less, it's just because I need to be able to read this with my old man eyes.
I stare at myself anyway.
Oh, yeah. All right. Negative Frag says, what's this for? Oh, character class selection. I wish I had a better solution to this. Currently, when you click on a character class, you get 2 boxes to the left and right. Clicking the box changes which character is standing there. Because they are based on the same underlying model, it effectively changes the clothes they're wearing, hairstyle, tattoo, so the transition isn't too jarring. I'm thinking of theming it as you first choose your attributes like intelligence, and then you choose what background of your character, what brought her up. Was she a sorceress or was she a witch? But he's still not completely happy about it. Having 12 characters standing there waiting to be hanged is clearly ridiculous, but having to pick an attribute and then a class just isn't very cool either. So this is referencing how you pick your characters. At the playtest, they had 6 classes, which I actually think that was part of their solution to this. because they had 6 classes. Now you have the witch, but then the witch is also, and the witch is 2 classes, I guess you could say, like the character model, the individual you seeing that we would now say is the witch. She's either the sorceress or the witch, and then those separate. So I think that was their answer. You only have 6 people standing at the gallows, and then that one character is the base model for 2 classes, and then you can go. Now, how they go about ascendancies, we don't know, and therefore they didn't get beyond like anything else there because they didn't have ascendancies available for us at the time. But
my feeling is at character selection, somehow, I don't know how they'll do it. I actually thought their character selection was great, but it was also, we were only seeing the single model with 2 classes as the options. But somehow you also need to see all of the 6 ascendancies that are connected to those 2. Oh, wait.
Agreed. I think it's extremely important. You have to know from the game, you have to know exactly what it is that you're wanting to aspire to from the game itself. Mm-hmm. At the beginning. Min-maxing, third party all the way. Wiki, tools, whatever, all the way. But I need to be able to make very basic decisions, including the goal of my character from the beginning of the game. Like, I need to know the value of why I'm starting as this character.
My feeling is that I want to see at the beginning, at my character selection, all of the options that I'm going to have as choices that are like ascendancy related. So I don't know how they do that, but I need to see that. It's one of the things I think PoE 1 lacks massively, because unless you know the game, you don't know where you're going. So it's really hard to understand how you're making that decision. So I don't know how they'll do it. I thought their class selection was great, but again, we didn't see ascendancies, so that makes a big difference.
I was just checking the spelling in Jonathan's Reddit name, because I'm like, I've seen it so much now with what we've been doing that I'm like, is that how you spell negative? So I had to double check the spelling of negative, and then to see if negative was actually something that I didn't know. Anyway, so agreed. Negative frags. What's this about? PvP. It isn't going to be a focus for PoE2. So definitely not for launch. It's supported. It will still be supported like it is in PoE 1, though. Maybe we'll give it another crack one day, but not for launch. Sweet. Awesome.
Like it is in PoE 1. Non-existent.
Right. Unless there are some fun hideouts too. There was like that battle arena hideout that they had. All right, character selection screen. We've kind of already touched on it, but he says we will probably display what they are, but I'm a little hesitant to show the full skill tree for them at the beginning. I think it's too much.
I agree.
What we will probably have are some videos, which they definitely had videos in our playtest of skills. Yep. But and maybe they did of the character class too. We were playing co-op, so there was some stuff that we realized some people could only get from the solo experience. Again, like maybe the pause ability. But Jonathan continues to say, what we will probably do is have some sort of video of the basic archetypes that are designed for the class, so you can have an idea about what the basic gameplay will be like.
That's literally all I want. I'm not suggesting you actually see an ascendancy tree. I think that's crazy, but an idea of what your choices are going to be.
Gotcha. This next one, PoE2 stun. Oh yeah, we know about stun. We've talked lots about it. There's going to be a stun bar. When we added some poise to monsters, players also added too. So there was an issue with stun at ExileCon. So this person was just concerned about how stun was going to work. But there's a visual stun bar for the enemies. I don't know if it was bosses or every enemy. I think it was on every enemy as the HUD showed up, but bosses have the permanent bar, so you could always see it. I don't remember how that's visual with the character, especially because now they're added. Like, it's going to be very different on the character now because they're actually doing a manual block, like in an action game, right? But then you also have the passive block stats that exist as well.
You being stunned? Is that what you're referencing?
Yeah, when the character is stunned, we don't know how it's going to work. And because if you can just permanently block with your active block skill and then you never get stunned, that would be really stupid. So I'm sure there's still a stun bar somewhere that we can see. But the
stun on bosses was amazing. Having a bar and seeing your progress towards getting him, and also just the fact that you can stun a boss feels good. It makes you feel strong. So I love it. And also, we had fun to like time it. We'd be like, all right, he's about to be stunned. Let's plan whatever we're doing.
Don't use that skill yet. Don't use that skill yet. Wait. Yeah, definitely. No, I did it too early. And then, Yeah, that is really cool. And it's also based on small attacks as well, from when we had it anyway. It wasn't just based on the damage, it was based on the accumulated damage that you did. Or stun damage, but like your dagger skills. Stun. Right, yeah, of course. But all skills accumulated the stun bar. It wasn't just based on an individual hit. Yeah, it was at that time. And that was definitely something that they referenced, but who knows if it's still in the game. What's next? PoE 1 and 2 guilds. Jonathan says guilds will transfer. Guild tabs will transfer. It is our intention that chat will work within guild across Path of Exile 1 and 2 as well. Yippee!
I mean, that's actually pretty good.
Sure, but give us like actual
I don't think we're
guilds.
getting much guild related stuff. I mean, they could go as simple as just give some controls to the guild leader to delegate, so not one person has to do everything. But that's interesting that they say they're going to transfer over. Like, how are they doing that account based?
Right, between PoE 1 and 2. That's an interesting
that'll be
limitation, but perk, but also limitation. All right. So this is in reference to what? Logout macros. This is a long one. I'll read it as quick and clearly as I can. Jonathan says, okay, so here are the specifics. If you are playing single player and you log out, the instance is paused. Then when you click back in, you will resume right where you were as long as the instance is still open. Instance timeout is still a thing. It seems clear to me, looking at it now when logging in, we still have to present an option to the player about if you would like to log into the existing instance or not, or log into town and lose that instance. So if you want to reset the boss, you don't have to wait. In multiplayer, if you log out, the instance is not paused. In this case, if you're in a boss fight, then you are not allowed back into that instance again, and you will be logged back into town. This is really the only approach we have, or this is really the only possible approach to prevent abuse like in Path of Exile 1. We don't want you to log in or out to dodge the ability and then continue the boss fight. That is important for maintaining the integrity of the fight, unlike Path of Exile 1. So suck it, hardcore cheaters. We don't want it so that you can log out and log in, and then it's the same thing as dodge and long and the boss abilities and that kind of stuff. So that being said, you can always Alt F4 to abort a boss fight if you see a death coming, and you will not lose your hardcore character, but you will have to do the boss again from scratch. I still don't like that, but I guess like
what's the alternative? What happens if why don't you like that? Because
well, see, like if a game crashes, you shouldn't lose your character. So how is someone supposed to determine the difference between an Alt F4 and a crash? So I get that, but to me, like if you're concerned, if you're thinking specifically hardcore, no, your build, like the whole point of hardcore is if I die, I lose, and I'm putting myself in these circumstances. Yes, the game might throw something at me I didn't see coming, or it's a bad RNG or whatever, but that's the hardcore experience. Alt F4ing out of an experience is not, it's just another way to cheese like a logout macro. Yes, you have to go back into some circumstances, but you're still avoiding death that you were supposed to be as a hardcore character. It's live or die in that situation. So I still think it's cheap, but what's GGG supposed to do?
My feeling is different, and that is if you don't like it, don't use it. But for somebody who maybe wants to, maybe isn't fully paying attention, maybe experiences some lag or whatever it is, I think it's fair for them to be able to get out. And but I also think like play however you want. So, you know, you like the hardcore, like I'm going to die if I die, then that's the way you play. And if somebody else doesn't like it, I mean, it has no effect on your gameplay, and your gameplay has no effect on their gameplay. So I don't really have a problem. I think the boss should always reset, which I know they're doing anyway with PoE 2. And I think they actually did a relatively decent job recently in PoE 1, making it where you can't cheese bosses by, you know, like, what was it? There's a couple of them where you could die and just wait for the phase to run out. Well, they stopped that so that the phase actually continues once you come back in. I'm not into it for the sake of being able to cheese a boss, but I'm 100% into it for being able to avoid a death, because for me personally, I don't want to die in hardcore. And if I can find a way to, I got myself in a bad situation, let me quickly log out. I think that's cool.
See, I think that's cheap. And my answer is get good.
Yeah, you're just wrong.
There's 4 more cards left. What's your time? So we can really fly through this. I have no quote for this, but I have a note that says for PoE2, there's going to be an MTX previewer for Path of Exile 1 and 2.
Amazing.
Awesome.
Completely agree. So bad.
Next one, we've emphasized lots in previous episodes because we were at the playtest and it was a controller-specific playtest. This comment, it is large from Jonathan. I'm going to skip it, but it says controllers are extremely customizable. And yes, they are.
It was awesome.
That. It was an astonishing experience. So the next two are death-related, okay? On death learning, this is from Jonathan. I don't know what the question was. He says, it's not a strain on the servers. We would keep that information client side if we were doing it. It's just that it's a complicated US task with a lot of considerations. So probably about an on-death log. Mm-hmm. And there's a lot of tricky details. We could get 90% of the way there very easily, with the last 10% making it a little bit more work. We don't currently have attribution. Is that a word? Attribution? Attribute? I don't know. It sounds weird. It's probably a word that I say all the time and it just looks weird right now. To specific skills at all. It would be easy to say fire damage killed you. That would be easy to say that it would be like saying the boss killed you. It's harder to say that this explosion skill did X damage to you, and much more harder to say this debuff resulted in Y extra damage to you. If it's not accurate, then it's useless. So we want to get this stuff right. And to be completely honest, I just don't value it as much as other improvements we could make to the UX. It's not like it's off the table, though. There's still a lot of UX improvements that would come first before implementing this on the screen. So I think that's regarded on death stuff. But there's also there's another death detail here, and then I think it's all related. I don't love ragdoll on monsters because I think it's a handcrafted death animation, because a handcrafted death animation looks better. But one thing we are doing in PoE2, though, is that each monster will have 5 death animations, one for each direction and one for a directionless death. Depending on the damage direction and if the monster is running or not, we will play the correct death animation. A skill like Ground Slam would play the directionless death because the monsters are getting hit from below. Not every monster has had all deaths created. Oh, so I guess it was unrelated. But anyway,
that is cool that they're doing that. My feeling towards a death log is I don't actually care how hard or what the problem is or whatever, but I want something. I want to understand why I died. And I don't know what the solution is. I don't know how they do that best, but I don't want to just pop, die, and be like, I guess I'll just run in there again. I have no clue what just happened. That's not cool. It's not a fun way to die. I didn't feel like that in the playtest. I felt like I understood it, but there was also way less happening.
Yeah, agreed. It was the earlier acts. I did, but feel like, what was that? What did I take damage from? In some circumstances, but I was also fading at the end, so it's not a legit criticism. I'd have to wait for the beta for that. But yeah, the user needs to know why they died or how they died.
How to fix it.
Right. They need to know what they are weak at. Whether it is something that they're capable of fixing at the moment or not, who knows? But it's based on GGG, RNG with base types and currency and vendors. But right. PoE 1, it's been horrible for forever and ever and ever.
Well, it's only gotten
Path
worse
of Exile 2
because there's just more stuff.
Oh, agreed.
And that's the problem. There's just too much stuff.
Right. So whether it's color related, whether it's because the screen is slower, even if it's just the visual detail, and it's like that was a yellow slam from the boss and yellow is lightning. So either it's lightning resist or just never get hit by that skill. You have something there. So whether it's visual or whether it's a text list, I actually don't care. Though I do, just because I'm a nerd, I like having that text list there anyway, whether I can toggle it on or off.
Log. I would love to have just a separate chat thing like in WoW where you can hit it into your combat log and here's everything that's happened to you, and it is ugly as shit. You never look at it. But in PoE it's different. WoW, I die, I'm dead, I understand it, I can actually figure it out. Path of Exile just has so much going on that to be able to understand that like, why is it so hard to show debuffs? Like if that was, I don't really know the answer, but somehow they need to make it so that when you die, you don't question what the fuck. Like, it's not a fun part of Path of Exile. And my hope is that they find some way to dummy proof it a bit, make it easy on them, but just give me something. Don't tell me the last hit of damage, because that's useless. Because, you know, I could get ticked by poison for the last piece that kills me. But I need to understand what was the bit of what happened. What's
the most damage I've taken in the last 2 or 3 seconds, or whatever a decent amount of time is for the new combat experience in PoE 2. Yeah.
Yep. I agree. Sweet. All right.
Agreed. Thank you for making time, Justin. I hope you're not late. Thank you, everybody, for all of your support. I was joking about the 2 patrons. We appreciate every single one of you, whether you're a patron or not. You're
Do we have more of these
fantastic.
for After Dark?
We're done, man.
We're
hit
done. Them all?
Oh, yeah.
Sweet.
We
Look at us.
flew through them, including the ones that we did in last After Dark and then skipped this episode.
Oh, well, look at us. Look at us.
Hey. Who'd have thought, Just? Who'd have thought?
Not me.
Not me.
Not me. All right, let's wrap this up. Forever Exiled 264. I'm Justin, AK Tags.
And I'm Tyler, Wrecker of Days.
Patrons, we will catch you in After Dark to talk about Dark. Everybody else, we'll see you next week in 265, hopefully to be talking about some announcement or something. Otherwise, we have a very fun Discord. You should pop in there and say hi. Patreon, other ways to support the podcast. You'll find them on the website as well as down below.
Bye.